One of the things they didn't talk about in 3-1, but they put in a couple problems like that. It's multiplying by the power of 10, but numbers with decimals. But before we do that, let me just make sure everybody's on the same page here. Mr. Oldham, I'll pick on you here. If I had 23 and I multiplied that by 10, what's the answer? What's 23 times 10? Yeah, 230. And all he did was add a 0. And if I said, Mr. Lee De La Rosa, what's 23 times 100 equal?
23,000.
So it's 23. How many zeros would I add? 2. Okay. And the comma goes right there, so it's 2,300. So when you multiply things by the power of 10, all you do is add that number of zeros. Okay, so if the number, I'm going to ask one more person here, if it was 176 times, let's say, 10,000, all right, I'm going to pull a stick here. Ms. Gunderson, let me just ask you this. How many zeros would I add to 176?
3.
How many? Look again. How many zeros would I add to 176? And I'll even put down 176 because I know that's going to be there. How many zeros do you see?
2.
How many?
4.
4. There's 4 zeros. Okay, so I'm going to add 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've shown you or mentioned before that you know where to put the commas by counting by threes. So 1, 2, 3, put a comma. 1, 2, 3, put a comma. So the answer is 1,760,000. So what I'm just simply trying to point out here, you guys, is that anytime you multiply a whole number by the powers of 10, whether it's 10, whether it's 100, whether it's 1,000, or maybe it's even 10,000 and bigger, all you do is add that number of zeros. You guys should know this now. Actually, you should have known this coming in here. A lot of you didn't, though, thanks to COVID and the whole nonsense of being taught at home, okay? So, anybody not understand that? Because I'll explain it again. I don't have a problem with that. Anybody not clear on that? Just add that number of zeros. You guys okay with that? Don't be bashful. Okay. All right. But what if I had a number like this? What if I had 2.3 times 10? Here's what you do. All you do is you move the decimal over one place because there's 1 0. And you move it in this direction because it makes the number larger. So the answer to 2.3 times 10 is 23. I said it makes the number larger because you move the decimal to the right. I mean, what's larger, 23 or 2.3?
23.
23 is obviously bigger. What if the number was 2.36 times 10? How many places do we move the decimal? One place. One place. So it becomes 23.6. Mr. Lee De La Rosa, I'll take it. You can put it right up here. What if the number was, how about 0.591 times 10? Okay, look what I do here. I'm going to move the decimal one place because there's only 1 0. I'm multiplying it by 10, not by 100, not by 1,000, not by a million, just by 10. So the number becomes 5.91. You see how that works? Now, that's multiplying numbers by 10. You just move the decimal one place one place to the right. Now, if it was 100, so if I had 0.591 times 100, I heard somebody say it. Then you're going to move it two places. 1, 2. So it would become 59.1. So when you multiply by whole numbers by 10, by the power of 10, you just add that many of zeros. If you're multiplying it by decimals, then however many zeros there are, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or whatever, you move the decimal that many places. So we're going to do a couple more. I'll pull some sticks for some points, and then I'm going to give you guys some problems to do. Let me move this up. And so you guys all have some scratch paper, and if you need to write it down, you can. If you don't need to, that's okay. So if I had 98.36 times 10. Miss Guerin, 983.6. And here's what she did. She saw that it was just being multiplied by 10. She moved the decimal one place. Nicely done. So put up 10 points. Here's another one. How about 146.21 times 10? Miss Pavase is not here. Now it's worth 20 points. Miss McGee just got here, but I'll ask her anyways. Do you know, honey? No? Okay. 30 points, Mr. Moyers. No? Okay. 40 points, Mr. Delgado. No, really. So, Mr. Delgado, I'm going to pick on you. Mr. Delgado, what are we multiplying 146.21 by? 10. How many zeros do you see in 10? 1. How many places then would you move the decimal? One place. So I'm just going to write the number down, 14621. So Mr. Delgado, where's the decimal go? No, don't look at him. Yeah, goes right here. Okay? And so I can put a comma right there. So it's 1,462.1. That almost doesn't look like a decimal. There we go. It's kind of fat. So it goes right before the 1. I'm just moving the decimal over one place. You guys got to know how to do this. I mean, actually, every day I teach you guys something you have to know, because this all keeps adding up, because you all keep getting tested and quizzed on this stuff as we move throughout the year. Ms. Noble, question, hon? Do you have a question? No, no comments right now. Anybody have a question on this? Ms. Gage, are you okay with this stuff? Okay, all right. Ms. Ramirez, you understand it? Okay, don't sharpen your pencil now, thank you. Yeah, Ms. Maldonado.
What happens if it's like 148.10 and it's times 1,000?
148 point, you said 10. Is that right, honey? And multiplied by 1,000? What a great question that is. I love that question, because this addresses something that I haven't taught you yet, but I might as well right now, because it kind of has to do with what we're talking about. I'm going to move this over because I'm going to need some more room here. I'm going to cut this and just kind of move it over here. Okay? So she asked, what if it's 148.10 times 1,000? So the same rules apply. So Miss Maldonado, it's a great question. How many zeros do you see? 3. So that would mean we move the decimal how many places? 3. Okay. But we don't have 3 places to move it.
So you add a point to it.
So 1, 4, 8. You have to move it 1, 2, 3 places. That means I have to add in a 0. So it would become, if I can get this to highlight, there we go, 148. And then I'm going to put 1, 0, and there's that 0 I added. So 1, 2, 3, 1, so it becomes 148,100. So if you don't have the numbers, you just add zeros. And that was great. I love that you asked me that. So I'm going to do another one here. What if it was 2.3 times 10,000? Okay? And let me move this over here. Let's put it right there. And I'll move this up. Okay? So, let me pull a stick here. Mr. Button, how many zeros do you see in 10,000?
4.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many, so that means how many places are we going to move the decimal? 4, right, exactly. That's always the same. 3 zeros, 3 places. 2 zeros, 2 places. 17 zeros, you're going to move it 17 places. So they gave us room for 1. So that takes care of one of the zeros. How many more zeros do we have to add? 3. There's 3 left. So it's going to be 2, 3, and then I got to add 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So 2.3 times 10,000 becomes 23,000. Just remember that the number of zeros tells you how many places you're going to have to move the decimal. Do you understand that, Ms. Gage? Okay. Mr. Kamisa, you with me? Ms. Jennings, you're not zoning out on me, are you? Not getting bored, are you? You're loving school, right?
Yeah.
Favorite teacher, right? Okay, good. All right, we're good. We're good. All right, all right, all right.
Mostly because you give us candy.
Yeah, it's just because I give you candy, of course. I know how to bribe my students. I'm not stupid. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to end that. Does anybody else have any questions before I end this kind of sub-lesson between 3.1 and 3.2? Does anybody, can you think of one that you go, well, how would you do this one? Yeah, Miss Noble.
What happens if it's a very, very big number and it's like 5,432.70 and then it's like times like a million.
Okay, this is what she asked, if I understood her correctly. She says, what's 5,432.70 times a million? Well, here's the first thing I want to ask you, Miss Noble. How many zeros do you see in a million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means how many places are we going to have to move the decimal?
6.
6, right, okay. So let's look at the number we're starting with here. How many, so we have to move the decimal 6 places, but just with this number we can move it how many times? Twice. Right? So there's 2 places taken care of right there. So so I can go ahead and say, well, I've moved it 1, 2 places. How many zeros are left that I haven't moved? 4. So I'm just going to take this number here and I'm going to write 5, 4, 3, 2, 7, 0, and then add 4 more zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to start counting by threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we have a fat number there, and that number is 5,432,700,000. So all you do, move the decimal until you can't anymore, and then you add those zeros that are left over.
That's a big number.
That's a big number. 4 billion is a big number. Yeah. All right. So that's it. I'm going to end that video and stop video recording.